Now, in this section of the course, we're going to cover the basic principles and concepts of cloud advising. As we go through this section, we'll be singularly focused inside of Domain 2, Business Principles of Cloud Environments, and looking at Objectives 2.1, 2.3, and 2.5. Now, Objective 2.1 states that given a scenario, you must be able to use appropriate cloud assessments. Objective 2.3 states that you must be able to identify the important business aspects of vendor relations in cloud adoptions. And Objective 2.5 states that you must be able to compare and contrast cloud migration approaches. So in this section of the course, we're going to be focusing on the phases of performing a cloud migration, how you can conduct a cloud assessment, how to identify key stakeholders, how to perform a gap analysis, and the different types of evaluations that you may be using when working in the cloud. Now, as we begin this section, we're going to be discussing the phases of cloud migration. Cloud migration is the process of moving data, applications, and other business processes from an on-premise environment to a cloud-based infrastructure. This process can be complex and requires careful planning and execution to ensure a smooth transition. During a cloud migration, there are going to be 5 key phases. First, the discovery of resources. Second, the suitability of resources for deployment. Third, the mapping of applications and services to solutions. Fourth, the migration of servers, services, and applications. And fifth, the operational support of cloud services. So we're going to begin this section by diving into these 5 phases in more depth in the videos. Next, we'll discuss cloud assessments. Now, cloud assessments, which are also known as feasibility studies, are an essential step in the process of migrating to the cloud. Cloud assessments involve a thorough examination of an organization's readiness for cloud migration and helps to identify any unique business requirements, IT infrastructure, applications, and dependencies that may need to be addressed. Cloud assessments include many different actions, including an examination of the organization's business requirements, current IT infrastructure, orchestration needs, identification of applications and all of their dependencies, as well as evaluating network functionality and identifying the required documentation for the organization's new cloud-based systems. After that, we're going to be discussing the identification of key stakeholders who are going to be involved in your cloud projects and your migrations. A key stakeholder is an individual or group that has a significant interest or concern in the outcome of a project, initiative, or organization. These key stakeholders may have the ability to influence the decision-making process, or they might be impacted by the outcome of your given project. Key stakeholders can include people like executives, managers, employees, customers, suppliers, and shareholders. In the context of a cloud assessment and migration, your key stakeholders may be including individuals or groups within the governance, operations, business management, and information technology departments of your organization, because these roles may have specific concerns, level of influence, or interest related to your project. Therefore, it's important that you identify and effectively work with your key stakeholders to ensure the success of your project by ensuring that your concerns and their concerns have been addressed by all the relevant parties as you're working through the process. Then, we're going to discuss the concept of a gap analysis. The gap analysis is a process of evaluating the differences between an organization's current performance and its desired performance. The goal of the analysis is to identify areas where improvements can be made in order to bridge the gap between the current and the desired states. In general, you're going to find 2 types of gap analysis: a technical gap analysis and a business gap analysis. Now, a technical gap analysis in the world of cloud computing would involve evaluating an organization's current technical infrastructure and identifying any areas where it falls short of the technical capabilities that are required to fully utilize cloud-based solutions. A business gap analysis, on the other hand, is going to involve evaluating an organization's current business processes and identifying any areas where they fall short of the capabilities required to fully utilize cloud solutions from a business perspective. After that, we're going to dive into the different types of evaluations that you may conduct as part of your cloud advising efforts and your cloud assessments. There are several types of evaluations that could be used, including pilot programs, success criteria, benchmarks, proof of concept, proof of value, and reporting. Now, a pilot program is a small-scale project that tests the logistics, proves the value of the migration, and reveals any weaknesses in the deployment. Success criteria is the way that we measure whether or not a project has met its objectives, and it's defined by a series of KPIs, or key performance indicators, that are usually related to the organization's overall strategy. Benchmarks are a method for businesses to gauge the potential outcome of a specific change by comparing their current results to the standard performance of their industry. And a proof of concept, or POC, is a type of evaluation that tests the functionality of the deployment and ensures that it is technically sound. A proof of value, or POV, on the other hand, is going to be used to evaluate the value of the deployment by measuring its benefits, such as its cost savings, time savings, or extended or additional services that it's going to provide. Reporting is the process of providing information about the status and progress of a project or initiative so that the organization can keep track of the progress of their migration, identify any potential issues, and make the necessary adjustments. Reporting can include many different areas, including compute, network, and storage reporting. Finally, we'll perform a quick demonstration so you can see how all these cloud principles are being applied in the real world, and then we'll take a short quiz to see what you learned during this section of the course. All right, let's go ahead and jump into cloud advising, migration, assessments, gap analysis, and evaluations in this section of the course.